afraid to turn out the lights? Is there something you're scared of? What's there out in the dark? Make sure to keep all your windows locked. Do you surrender? You try to stay awake. These walls you can't escape. Here's one for the lonely hearts, for the ones that fear the dark. You better run out of here. Bet you can't look the other way. Here's one for the broken road. That's the only one you know. You better run out, truth or dare. Get me out, take me anywhere but here. Oh, anywhere but here. Wanting something good to come, waiting for things to run away from. Are you just hiding? Yeah, walking into the fire, talking like you never die, like you're immortal. You try to stay awake. These walls you can't escape. Do you lie awake at night? Are you afraid to turn out the lights? Is there something you're scared of? What's there out in the dark? Make sure to keep all your windows locked. Do you surrender?
Hello and welcome to PHP Alive and Kicking. This is episode 24. I'm Mike. My co-host is Chris.
Hey.
Hey, Chris. This podcast is brought to you by PHP Architect and made better by our partners at PHP Displace. More about them later. We explore the latest developments in PHP and what it's like to earn a living today in PHP. Today is a live recording, so please join us over in our Discord channel where you can ask any questions of our guests and interact with people there. And you don't have to be there just for the show. You can be there all the week through all year as well, I suppose. Very interesting people in there, people from internals, package maintainers, and us as well. We'll be in there. Don't forget to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel and help us get these videos out to other people. We also have a magazine, which is a monthly subscription. We do have a code for people, our listeners. Alive 3 will give you the first 3 months of an annual digital subscription. So do go along. Some great articles there. You can learn a lot. Keep up to date with what's going on within our community and within PHP. We also run a conference, but we're running 2 this year, side by side. We got PHP Tech, and that in May in Chicago, and alongside that, at the same time, we have got JS Tech in the same venue. So we're all mingling together, PHP developers and JS developers. What could go wrong, eh? We've also got our swag store as well. Head over to the store at store.phparch.com and you can check out all the cool bits of merch we've got there for sale. So do head over and check that out. That is all our little bits we need to just point out there. We've had a slight change of schedule.
Only slight.
Yeah. We were having Ben Ramsey on today, but instead of Ben Ramsey, we now have the self-proclaimed fake Ben Ramsey.
Hello, fake Ben Ramsey.
That is correct. I am not Ben Ramsey. Sorry to disappoint anyone that was expecting Ben Ramsey. But I'm not Ben Ramsey, and I'm not the fake Ben Ramsey either, because there already is one of those. I've hung out with him at conferences. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy too.
Right.
Well, for anyone that doesn't know, this is Joe, one of our colleagues. Hello, Joe.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you for stepping in at the last second to help us out here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Ben Ramsey couldn't make it, so Joe was on hand to jump in, and so we can still have a show. So yeah, thank you very much.
Joe had 7 whole minutes of notice.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, his first question was, I don't know what to talk about. So we'll find something. It's fine.
Yeah. And
We'll
some
work
huge
it out.
deer in the headlights happening. It's like, oh my god.
I did explain we feel exactly the same every single week. we are the deer in the headlight. As that countdown's going, I'm going,
Yep.
oh god, we go, breathe, get ready, we're going live.
I mean, it could be worse. We could completely not have a clue what to talk about. Which
That's fair.
The great thing with our communities is always something to talk about.
Eric wants to know what the hell he's paying us for. I
just
don't
told him
know.
the podcast.
Yeah,
Apparently.
Has Eric forgotten we were going live today?
Maybe so. He's had a busy week. I'll give him that. And it's only Tuesday.
Yes, he's had a very busy week. So I can't remember. You joined us for he's going to start putting this off now just by putting stuff in the comments. You know?
Like that one.
Exactly. We're spreading the good word of the company, Eric.
Yes.
That's what we're doing. Yeah. That's what's going on now. Joe, you joined us for our Christmas special when we had the rest of the team on. Now, what I can't remember, because I didn't have enough time to prep for you as being a guest, if we asked you how you got into PHP.
I don't remember. Maybe we did.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's the normal question we ask everyone when they come on for the first time. So
Yeah, I think we may have skipped that because Frank was on that too, and I think Frank had already been on, so you already kind of knew Frank.
yeah,
For me, I found PHP in 1998 or 1999. I was still in high school, and I had discovered web boards or like forums. It's like PHP BB, yeah, PHP BB, and .NET Nuke was a thing, PHP Nuke, all these old web forums, and I was really interested in how they worked, so I started diving into them. And once I realized that they were free and open source mostly, some of them were paid, but being able to go in there and write plugins and build plugins with that. So yeah, I started out relatively young, and I didn't really get serious about it until 2001, I think, is when I really started getting serious. That was PHP 5. Laravel 3 or 4 was just about to come out, and because I think 4 was the first Laravel version that I actually played with and did and built real things with, and that was in one of the betas. It was just so much better than Laravel 3 at the time. Such a shift in modernization as well with the composer stuff that was happening at the time. So yeah, and then I didn't actually start being a professional developer until 2005. It took me several years to kind of break into the industry. I didn't go to college for this. I was going to be an architect when I was a kid, and now I am just a different kind of architect. I kind of build applications and systems as opposed to buildings and houses and stuff. So I think it worked out pretty well. So yeah, I kind of got my start in a very small agency. I was able to convince somebody that I knew how to convert Photoshop files, PSDs, into HTML. I couldn't at the time. I had read a little bit about it. I knew what Photoshop was. I was familiar enough in working with Photoshop to where I could go and cut assets out and such. But I taught myself very quickly how to do a lot of that stuff. And that was also before we had lots of huge front-end frameworks too. So I was just writing raw HTML and CSS back in the day. And for as much as I complain about CSS, I was actually enjoyed those days when it was a lot simpler, where it was just, you're literally just a CSS file as opposed to all of the pre-processing and compiling and the things that we do today in modern JavaScript and modern front-end tooling is it's a completely different world than when I started. And I'm coming around. Like I've always like harped on JavaScript, and I've always harped on other programming languages where PHP has kind of been the most endeared to me. But I also started with Perl too. Like when I started that job cutting up HTML, the shopping cart we used was Perl, and it was CGI based. So post request, or you send a request, you got a response, and there was very little state management, just enough to get the checkout process done through the shopping cart. And it was a hair care company that is not around anymore. But they had, when I started, they had 5 websites that they sold hair care products on and hair loss products on. And then when I left 7 years later, they had something like in the neighborhood of 400 sites that we were selling on. And I essentially built version 2 and 3 and 4 of their shopping cart system that was multi-store, multi-tenant. And I was building a multi-tenant shopping cart system before I even knew what a multi-tenant application was. It was kind of a weird time in web development. I also did a lot of like modernization stuff because, like I said, we started out with Perl there, and then we pivoted mostly to PHP. The customer service people there used Access Database as a front end to SQL Server. So I was able to write PHP that connected to SQL Server, and that blew my boss's mind. He was like, "What do you mean? This is running in Linux?" I was like, "Yeah, it's connected to SQL Server. Why are we running a SQL Server?" Because he was a Microsoft guy. That's the only reason it was. So yeah, I spent 7 years there, learned a lot, taught myself a lot, discovered the PHP community in that job. I discovered Memphis PHP sometime in 2007, 2008, 9-ish time, and then really got involved with the community closer towards 2010. My very first conference for PHP was PHP Tech 2014. That conference literally changed my life because I got to see Ed Finkler and a bunch of other people talk about mental health during one of the events that night. One of the after conference, like one of the what we do at Tech now, where we have events after the main conference day is over and there's food and beverages and stuff. Well, in 2014, they did a panel where it was just a bunch of people talking about mental health. And it was so like groundbreaking for me is because I was like, oh, I have these issues too, and these people are talking about it. And that's how I got to meet Ed Finkler, become really good friends with him. Ultimately, in 2016, 2017-ish, I helped him formally build or formally start OSME, Open Sourcing Mental Illness, as a 501c3. So I spent a lot of time working with that as well over the years. So yeah, just kind of getting into PHP, into the community in very roundabout ways. My first experience with the PHP community was Jeremy Kendall, who started Memphis PHP immediately after he came back from PHP Tech. I think that was in 08 or 09. He got back from PHP Tech, and Cal Evans had given a talk about if you're not attending, or if there's no user group meeting in your town, then you are your meetup leader, your user group leader. Congratulations, start holding meetups or start holding events. And it's been kind of awesome to kind of grow with this community and meet so many friends from all over the world just based on this community and this shared tool set that we like programming with.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that amazes me, that it's such a, on the grand scale of things, tiny thing that unites thousands upon thousands of people worldwide. And you only have to look over the past few days. We've had PHP UK, we've got Laracon India, we've had events in America, all within the past month that I know of, and there's been others that I don't know of elsewhere. And there's constantly somewhere somebody talking about PHP.
Yeah, and it used to be a lot more. Pre-COVID, there was, oh my gosh, there was 7 or 8 regional conferences for PHP on top of your PHP Tech. And I mean, because you had PHP Tech, you had PHP World in November, both done by PHP Architect. You had Sunshine PHP, you had Cascadia PHP. There was Dallas was doing it before Austin took over for Lone Star. So there's been there was Wave. I mean, Eric and John did Wave PHP. I was a speaker for that out in San Diego. So they proved that a PHP conference could happen in San Diego, which was a good time. Wife and I flew out for that one and enjoyed it. So yeah, there used to be all these other conferences. I think now that since COVID, it's not nearly as diluted as it kind of got to the point where, and looking at other communities and how other communities do this, Python was very much the similar way, where you had regional Python events. You had Pi Tennessee, you had Pi Ohio was the really big one. I think one of Pi Ohio may have been one of the first ones. So you had all these other smaller regional events, and then once a year you still had PyCon, and you would have PyCon US, you would have PyCon EU, and then there was an Australia one, I believe, at some point. So you still had like these smaller regional events, but these smaller regional events weren't trying to be like PyCon. And it felt like towards 2018, 2019, that's what a lot of the regional conferences were trying to be, these 3-day conferences. And it was a lot. And everybody was fighting over sponsors. Everybody was fighting over speakers. You had to work really hard to get a good schedule, because you had so many speakers that were all giving very similar talks or the same talks. I mean, as a speaker who's spoken at a lot of events, you don't want to have to go write 10 different talks to be able to give in a year, right? You want to be able to try to recycle material just to keep your own workload in check. So it was really difficult. So I miss all those regional events. I miss going to all those, those places and those communities and seeing those user groups, because essentially those conferences came out of those user groups. It's unfortunate that a lot of those went away. I mean, my own user group kind of disappeared and just kind of took another form where it's much more of a generic conference, or generic user group. We call it Dev Memphis is one of them here. And it's very much kind of we do PHP, we'll talk about JavaScript, we'll talk about UX, design stuff, we'll talk about all these other topics, to where it's not just pigeonholed into PHP. Because honestly, there's not a lot of PHP happening in Memphis. If it is, nobody's really talking about it. So just not a big market.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say about the if there's no user group, you're now the user organizer. I remember someone saying that to me once. I'm like, yeah, I haven't got time for that. It'd be nice, but I don't have time to run a user group as well as everything else at the moment. Unfortunately, we there's no user group near me at the moment. But that's something that I think I'll be looking into more later on down the line. In fact, we're hoping to do an episode about talking about user groups and getting some advice about how to run a user group, get them set up, and things like that. That's one of the ones on our roadmap we want to talk about.
You should have Ben Ramsey on for that. He's great at that. Ben Ramsey knows a lot about user groups.
He does, and so the person we've actually got is a UK person very similar to Ben, has been around forever.
Oh, awesome!
Just need to book the time with him. It's Dave Liderman.
Oh, cool! Yeah. I got to hang out with Dave at Longhorn. Got to hang out with him a little bit. Yeah.
He has a lot to say on a lot of things. And
I came in, I felt bad. I came in, I think he was doing a tutorial, and I came in I got there early morning, but I was at the tail end of his conference or his workshop. I think it was a half day workshop he was doing, and it was fantastic. The bits that I saw were great.
Yeah, and he actually spoke at PHP UK, not as sort of a main speaker, but just towards the end because he was helping out with organising it. Mm-hmm. Paul Dragunas brought him up to talk about user groups and the importance of user groups.
Awesome. Mm-hmm.
He had about 10 minutes in which to express the importance of user groups, and that left me thinking, yeah, user groups are important, which I guess means it worked.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And even these days, the tech community here in Memphis has definitely shifted to be more online. I mean, a lot of us are older these days. A lot of the people locally have kids, families, and nobody really has time to dedicate to running a user group, which is fine. I mean, we still have some of these other people that are running those groups, and a lot of our community time is mostly spent on Discord. Where a lot of that community interaction is, and it's pretty great for being like for being an online place. It's pretty great because the people that there make it great, right? It's not like Discord's doing anything special. It's special because the people who are there and contributing, and even people who are just sitting there lurking and just kind of are there just because it's people within their city, and it does a lot to kind of help people learn and talk about what they're working on and figure out what they should be working on, especially for for people who are looking to change careers, which is a big thing in Memphis. There's a couple of local groups that help with career changing, career management. Like you're off the street. You used to be a stockbroker. You want to be a developer? Here, take our course. It's not like code school, but it's kind of like code schools where it's more boot camp and more job placement assistance than a code school. So they're trying to get you job ready. There's even a company, Cook's Pest Control, they used to operate essentially a Java boot camp. They would bring in 30 developers off the street. Maybe they've never touched a computer before. Throw them in the classroom, give them 30 days. They pay them like minimum wage or a basic day rate or whatever it is. So they're getting paid while they're learning. And at the end of the camp, they hire the 5 or 4, or however many of the best students. They'll hire them directly as junior level developers. And then they help the rest of the class that they didn't hire try to find jobs within the community or within, that field. So that was doing a lot in pre-COVID for Memphis. And I'm not sure if they're still doing that or not. Unfortunately, we just got hit really hard with layoffs from one of the big companies in town. They ended up outsourcing their entire IT department offshore. So that's unfortunate, but I think what warms my heart to the extent that it does is our local tech community is helping these people find jobs, right? Being able to help say, oh, my company is hiring, or, oh, hey, here's this opportunity I saw. So a lot of those people got some pretty advanced notice. I think they found out in November it was happening in March. So they've had a lot of time to prepare, but it's never easy, right? It's never, getting laid off or whatever is never easy. It sucks to happen the times that it's happened to me, especially when it happened. I had worked at a job for literally 1 year. On my anniversary, I got laid off. But, it happens.
Yeah, there's so many things I wanted to expand on what you've just said. I'm sorry, I seem to have a connection issue all of a sudden and dropped. But we'll go and hear from our partner for today's episode first, and then we'll carry on with the conversation.
Thank you to our partners over at Displace Technologies. Building PHP applications is your passion. Managing cloud infrastructure shouldn't be your headache. Displace is your partner in cloud infrastructure orchestration, giving solo developers and small teams the tools and automation to deploy enterprise-grade Kubernetes clusters without the enterprise-grade complexity or cost. Their CLI tool streamlines everything from local development to fully managed cloud deployments on AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, and more. Skip the steep learning curve of Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform. Let their automation free you to focus on your core business without losing control of your infrastructure. Get started at displace.tech. That's displace.tech, and discover how the right tools can eliminate the need for a full DevOps team.
Thank you, Displace. So one of the key things you were saying there, Joe, that is on my mind quite a bit, is you're saying that a lot of the developers in your area are older, young kids or older. That is something that plays on my mind quite a lot. There doesn't seem to be a lot of youngsters. When I say young people that just come out of college, university, coming into the industry. And when I look around at like conference attendees, there's not many junior developers. I mean, I didn't get a lot of time to look around at the people that were at PHP UK on Friday, but all the people we did talk to, I'd say is my age bracket and above, not many younger. So that's something that I think about quite a lot, and I wonder what we can do as a community to try and bring in newer, younger developers.
I think a lot of it just goes into the onboarding and getting started with it. A lot of it's also kind of like as far as regional areas go, like here in Memphis, PHP is very low used. People really don't care about it because unless they're dealing with WordPress or unless they're dealing with a specific legacy application or something. And that's not entirely true. I will throw one thing out there. St. Jude, St. Jude is a children's research hospital. If you're not familiar with St. Jude, they have a lot of PHP development happening in there, a lot of Laravel use as well. I actually got to talk with the hiring manager several years ago when they posted the first job for that. So they have a cloud platform that they manage, and I believe that is what is Laravel, if not other things are Laravel there as well. So, and I say St. Jude because they're probably one of the largest tech employers here in Memphis, outside of UPS, FedEx, and some other places. So we're not as big into healthcare as like the Nashville market is, but most of the jobs here are going to be Java or .NET. Two of my really good friends are both .NET developers. We constantly harass each other and call each other terrible names and make fun of each other's languages. The running joke is I just tell them that their C# is ugly PHP. It just needs to be linted and it'll be fine. So, that's the kind of friendly trolling that we have around. That's kind of the same kind of sense of humor that's within our community. Is that just kind of like, look, we all can go and go back to the framework war days, the browser war days, whatever, and we can all hate on each other's thing, or we could just collectively take a step back and say, all of this is really bad. Like this is like if you step back and say, yes, this works, but like how much of it is just band-aids and bubblegum, right? So it's easy. I guess in my older age, I take it more into a stance of it's all bad, let's make fun of all of them, because there's and they're not all bad, right? I'm saying that in jest if that's not coming in clear. There's a lot of sarcasm happening there, but it's like Python. I spent 7 years or 6 years almost working at a Python startup, and I got to know Python even better than I did previously. Early in my career, I also worked on, in addition to Perl, I also did a lot of Python stuff with some system operations and what would eventually become DevOps and server maintenance stuff. So I learned a lot of Python back then, but being able to see modern Python, especially in a machine learning environment, and not really AI, but inference with machine learning, and being able to create a model, train a model, and then run the inference on data sets, and then being even the engineering aspect of importing those data sets was ridiculous because we use Python just because the data processing frameworks were better in Python, and that's not necessarily the case today. Excuse me, one second.
Oh, you muted yourself now.
Yep, sorry, one second. So data processing frameworks. A lot of times when you look into machine learning, people are using Python, and that is primarily because of NumPy and some other tooling and stuff that is just written in Python because it has been forever and it works and it's not very brittle. So people just use it over and over. Well, Flow PHP is a package for doing this kind of same data machine learning, data processing within PHP, and it's fantastic. It's modern. The dev is receptive and constantly improving, and he's actually like, it's not just somebody who's vibe coding NumPy in PHP, right? It's somebody who actually does care about data processing and all of the ways that Python does that really well. He's bringing over into PHP. So I'm really hoping that will kind of expand the people doing machine learning and stuff with PHP, now that there's mature tooling that helps them do that in the same way that you would do it in Python. As like, so if you're looking at a Python tutorial on how to ingest data for machine learning, you would do the same thing in PHP. You use different libraries, right? Which is the dream, being able to do it in your own framework or your own language, be able to kind of bring that new thing you're learning to existing tool set that you're already familiar with. That way you're trying to reduce the amount of things you're learning at one time.
Yes, it's interesting and fascinating. I think there's so many things coming into our community to expand what we can do with PHP, and it's great. It's
on the topic of how do you get new developers in, and you know, the best documentation. I think we have the best documentation of any programming language, and I'll argue that point forever. The docs team for PHP, all those contributors are amazing, and when it comes to kind of the age and demographics as well, what I've seen in our local tech community is a lot of younger people coming in and latching on to JavaScript, or they're latching on to .NET, just because .NET's open source these days, or has been for several years at this point. But it's one of those things where they're trying to learn .NET, they're trying to learn JavaScript because they want to build games, right? They want to build something in Unity, they want to play with Unreal Engine, and the game developer community in Memphis is quite large. I don't know how many are actual professional developers or if it's just hobbyists, but when you peek in their Discord and you see hundreds of people, it's really cool to see that. Now, they're probably not all here in Memphis, and they're not all churning out AAA games, right? But being able to even go tinker and learn enough. I've tried to build games in Unreal Engine and Godot and some of these other toolings, and I learned very quickly that is not the kind of developer I am. Not at all.
Yeah, it's funny.
Doesn't want to work that way.
Yeah, that's where I started. That was my first motivation, was because I had an idea for a game and wanted to work out how to program it in C# was where I went. After doing some research into different languages to understand what would be the best, C# and Unity was what I was learning, and then being introduced to PHP in my workplace at the time just completely changed my thought on what I wanted to do out of programming, and well, here I am today doing web development in PHP. I could well have been doing that game development, but I have a few friends, because my previous job was it's a agency that build AR and VR content mainly for educational uses, and I did all the sort of database building and the admin panels for all the apps and games that they were building. They were using C# in Unity, and so I've met quite a few people in that circle, and it's a tough environment, but the competition is very, very hard for Unity developers, from what I can understand.
The gaming industry as a whole is ridiculously competitive and cutthroat, and I mean, we can talk about layoffs in the tech industry, like you know, when we say tech industry, like, you know, in our industry of development, programmers, developers, I mean, the games industry is so much, like, there's been so many studio closures this year and last year, and AI is just wreaking havoc across those studios, and those companies that went and bought 50 studios don't know what to do with them now, and they're closing them, which is unfortunate because you lose a lot of IP there, you lose a lot of people in the industry, and it's just unfortunate.
I mean, even if we go back in time, one of our colleagues, Frank, started off in game industry, and some of the stories he tells us is frightening.
Yeah. I had a good friend of mine used to work for BioWare on one of their Star Wars MMOs, and he was in QA. It was hearing the stories he would tell, just brutal. And he was one of the ones that got caught up in one of the first waves, where you need to cut funds and save money. Where are you going to do it? You're going to do it in QA is where you start. That's at least the games industry tends to work that way. So it's just interesting to kind of look at that industry and compare it to ours. And I feel like we have a lot more job security until the AI overlords take over, and we'll see. Hopefully we'll still have job security. Hopefully we will have a long career in fixing those vibe coded apps that work and then break. Then the person doesn't know how to fix them. That's where we swoop in and say, yes, we can fix your problems with humans.
Yes, so that's segues into a nice subject. A hot topic at the moment is AI. A lot of people are talking about AI and how it's affecting our industry. I mean, you and me, Joe, have talked about it over the last couple of days. We've been looking at AI and how to utilize it in our daily work. And you've kind of mentioned there about the AI taking over. Do you really think that AI will actually take over this industry at some point?
No, I don't think so. I mean, even one of the Anthropic people came out and said that coding was a solved thing now. It was a zero-sum solved thing. We don't need coders anymore because Claude has solved coding. And I can't disagree with that any harder, right? It's like
I take it they weren't a developer.
I'm a big Claude user, and a lot of, and this is such a hot topic within our community. It's also in my experience, it's been very polarizing, because in some corners of the community, I hesitate to say that I use AI, because it's like there's such a stigma, an anti-stigma. It's like, you use AI, go away. And I always have to clarify that. It's like, look, I don't want to read a book written by AI. I don't want to listen to music written by AI. I don't want to watch a movie that was written by AI. I want those creative things to be done by humans, because I think that's what makes them special, is that humans did these things. Do I care if my user factory is written by AI or Grand Theft Autocomplete, depending on how you want to frame it? I honestly don't really care, because it's that generic, rudimentary. It's that boilerplate, right? We all jumped headfirst into frameworks that started writing boilerplate for us, right? Let us get to the fun parts of our application first.
Yeah.
I feel like AI is a very similar tool in allowing us to get to the fun parts of our application faster, and even being able to ask the AI, all right, I've told you all these things. What did I not think about? And then it will try to, let's be real. It's predicting words to give you back, right? There's no thinking. There is arguably logic in there, but it's come a long way. So if you're thinking that these AI tools are just giant switch statements or giant nested if statements from hell, that's not what they are these days. They're actually really incredible. And if you don't know enough about what's happening under the hood, I know like this much about what's happening under the hood just because I worked for a machine learning company for a bit. The people that are using this and being successful with it are the ones that can guide it. Grand Theft Autocomplete. I lifted that from the Rove Discord, so all credit to the Rove Discord. It's a good place. Granted, they are competition, so I may have to like strike that out. I may get like fired tomorrow for mentioning a competition, but no, they're not our direct competition. We do similar things, but yeah, I lifted that one definitely out of their Discord because I thought it was very, very fitting. So like, so when I'm saying that I'm using AI and that I'm embracing AI, it's very much to do the very boring things. Like I was just telling my friends yesterday about one of the use cases, and I shared it in our company Slack. One of the things I do as a DevOps or system ops person is I go to AWS console a lot in the web. I log into the AWS console. I click on Elastic Beanstalk. I find the instance that I want. I click on the Beanstalk server. I click on this other button. I click 42 different times, it feels like, just to get logs. So I opened up Claude. And I said, all right, Claude, here's an empty shell script. This is how I have my AWS credentials and AWS CLI configured. This is what I want to do. This is the region I want you to do this in. I want you to go fetch me all of the EB instances that we have, return them, give me a list, let me select one, go fetch logs, and then download the logs and then extract them into this folder. And about 10 minutes later, I had a shell script that did not work. But so let's think about all these things that go into that, right? So the AWS CLI would first have to describe all the EB instances. So it has to get a list of all the instances, be able to query the AWS CLI and be able to say, okay, give me trigger the log collection for these, then pull them down over S3 and then unzip them. And then there's still the complexity of all the different things that are in the log files, because it's all the logs. It's the Elastic Beanstalk logs. It's the AWS logs. It's everything, right, off of the EC2 instance behind it. So the thing that broke was that the log generation or the log collection, where it zips the files up for you, isn't instant, right? And turns out it takes more than 10 seconds too, because that's what Claude said. Claude said, let's wait 10 seconds and then we'll give up. And that's not long enough. So the first time I ran the code, it let me select my instance, and then it waited for the logs to be generated for 10 seconds, and then it exited. It said, oh, no logs. And I'm like, wait, that's not right. So I went back to Claude and I said, okay, Claude, 10 seconds is too quick. Let's do some kind of retry and just wait and try to pull for the logs. And Claude was like, sure, let's do this for loop, and we're going to cap it at 3 minutes. So we're going to wait for 3 minutes, and if the logs don't show up in 3 minutes, we just give up. And that has been working fine. And that's the kind of thing that I want people to realize that AI is really good for. Now, a lot of the success I've had with it is because I'm guiding the AI. It's not that I am some amazing prompt engineer, because I'm not. I just describe the problem and try to give it as much context as if I was talking to a junior dev. But remember, AI isn't a junior dev. AI is somebody who's never written code before, but thinks it's really good at guessing words and letters. So you can't really treat them like developers, but it's hard not to in a lot of cases where it feels like magic. If I didn't know any better, right? If I didn't have some machine learning background and understanding that this is just math and word generation or word prediction, then I would have, then it would be no different than magic.
Yeah, I think another interesting use case that I've been looking at is doing some deep dives into legacy code, especially if there's lots of nested and it's abstracted here, and then you can get quite easily lost in some of these big codes. So actually saying to Claude, right, this is what I'm trying to find, help me find it, and it can just read all it. As you say, it's just looking for whatever it is I've asked it to look for in the text, and it will spit it out and tell me where things are, and it just makes things a lot easier to understand someone else's code faster.
Absolutely. And the summaries that it's been able to do are really great. I do see a lot of failures too, right? Like right before we got on this call about 30 minutes ago, you asked for a PR review. So what I went through the PR review. I don't know this. It's a relatively new code base to me, to us as a company. It's a relatively new client. I don't have a lot of experience or domain knowledge. So I fired up Claude and I said, hey, do a code review. And Claude's like, oh, well, there's an unused import on this line. And I'm like, oh, that's an easy thing to miss. And then I went and opened the code and I'm like, it is used. It's used right there on line 20. So I go back to Claude and I'm like, Claude, this third problem that you flagged in this PR, you said that it was an unused import, but here it is on line 20. And Claude goes, oh, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I checked all the imports. Sending it over. It's one of the last things I do.
And it's like, okay, so let's think about what would Claude do to check that? Okay, so it's going to go through and it's going to grab all of the imports and it's going to look for those imports being used everywhere in the code. Now, where this specific import was being used was in, it was a private variable in the class. So it's like, I know find and replace or sed would have found this. So why didn't it? is that some weird Claude thing? Is it a weird LLM thing? Do like all LLMs suffer from the same like bug or whatever it is, or was it something in the special sauce that makes Claude do this weird thing? The other thing I've been using Claude a lot for is double checking me when I'm reviewing logs. We had an incident several weeks ago where we had a burst of traffic come across, and I went and did an investigation. I pulled all the logs, and I was able to kind of make some determinations. Oh, it looks like we just got hit by a run by DDoS or whatever it was. Ended up being not that big of a deal, but I went and was like, okay, Claude, go look at these logs, and this is what I'm seeing. Tell me something else that you're seeing that I may not have thought of. And Claude immediately accused me of being a hacker attacking the server, which is the only reason Claude can understand I had these logs. So it's like, no, Claude, I'm not the attacker. I'm the person debugging the problem. They're like, oh, okay, now we know who you are. So even the context of Claude knowing who you are in relation to the code is this very weird and abstract thing, or can be, right? So so those are two very distinct places where AI has just fallen over. So it's not this magic bullet, right? It's not going to solve all of your problems. It is going to suggest a lot of solutions for you. And I have seen the speed at which I have seen Claude and other LLM tools write gapingly wide giant security holes is much more than the opposite. I have seen it just write in some blatant cross-site scripting endpoint or exploits, and it's just like, no, we're not going to write any of this code. We're going to go and research the top 10 OWASP, and we're going to think about that as we review all of this code now. So it's really powerful, but I think it really needs a experienced developer to guide it, to be able to watch out for those pitfalls. And I think that's where a lot of the hobbyist people are getting themselves in trouble, because they don't have that experience, or they don't have that. Maybe they don't even have the patience to be able to say, oh, I got this working. Is it secure? They're probably not even asking that question, right? Application security is such a huge thing in our field. Just look at any CVE index and you'll understand. I mean, the supply chain by itself is a whole other issue for application security. So being able to write this code and know that what you're writing is secure is huge. And I don't think just a regular hobbyist can do that off the shelf with an off-the-shelf LLM, unless they have some kind of guiding principles where they are implementing things according to a strict framework, like with Laravel, that would be Boost, to be able to guidance where Boost is telling Laravel or telling Claude or the LLM how to write a class, what a class should look like, how to use the artisan command, that sort of thing. Those guardrails are super important. And one of our other clients actually posted a video today that was talking about how that claude.md file, or those files that you're keeping in your repo, are actually hurting your LLMs. And I watched a good bit of the video, and I looked at some of the research, and it was like, I still think that's I think that's when you go overboard. Like if you tried to dictate everything about your application in your Claude MD file, I think I think you're going overboard in the wrong direction. I think you have to have a balance of, this is how the code operates, this is how it should operate, this is how you prove that it operates. And as long as you can force the AI to prove itself, cite its sources, and those sources are real and not hallucinations, and making sure that when it's writing tests, that it's actually testing the right things, that's huge.
I mean, yeah, talking about the sources, that just reminds me, I was doing an assignment for my OU degree a couple of weeks ago, and there's one question where it says you must use AI because it's sort of teaching a bit about how to use AI and how to be cautious of it, just like you're saying that we have to do with code. And it was to write a report. Basically, I had to instruct the AI to write me a draft report that I then had to base my real report on. And I asked it to cite some references, and not one of the references links worked. So I then had to go off and research and find some references that I could reference, because not one of them actually worked. And I won't say which AI that was, but I have remembered trying to do a bit of research with ChatGPT probably about a year ago and asked for, so this is what I'm looking for. Can you give me links to examples of this sort of stuff? And not one link worked again. And I went back and said, none of your links work. Oh, of course they don't. Okay, here's some more links.
Right.
No, none of those links work either. So there definitely still holes, but I think we're all in agreement, the three of us, that it's a tool to be used, and it's something that needs to be monitored. So you do need to have that fundamental background and understanding. I, for one, will not. I'm very careful. I read every line of code that I ever get out of AI when I'm trying to build something. And if I don't understand what it does, I'll ask it. If I still don't understand, I normally phone you or Chris. So, can you help? Does this make sense? I don't understand what this is doing. Am I going crazy? But it is scary on how many people out there are saying that it's the future, there won't be any more devs, because it says to me that they don't actually understand how AI works and what it's like to be a developer, how to develop. These are people that are not developers. They can't be. They just can't be.
Yeah, and we're also setting aside the huge social and economic impacts of AI in terms of power consumption. How much of a rainforest do we have to burn for me to get my shell script out of Claude? Turns out it's a lot more than a lot of people want, or a lot of people are than it should even be doing. And I think there's a conversation to be had there. And I'm kind of uniquely aware of this because there is a very large AI training facility here in my city, and I won't name it. You can look it up, and they are doing some very questionable things, both in the data center and online. And it's like, I don't like that for my community. I don't like the fact that they're being accused of not doing things the right way, where they're potentially putting things into the environment that they're not supposed to be, or more than what they said that they would be. And it's like, it's very concerning in that regard. But at the same time, I'm caught in this, like, I think it's a great tool for these specific use cases, but I wish it wasn't in my community. I wish it wasn't, well, at least this particular one. I mean, you can back Claude up into my community and let's talk, right? Let's let's sort something out here. But in other AIs and other things, there's just so much cost, and we've seen it with memory, and we're about to see it with hard drives, and we're starting to see Hetzner. Hetzner, I believe, as I'm saying that's right, is a huge cloud provider for server infrastructure in the EU. They just jumped their prices 30 to 40%. And it's like, wow, is DigitalOcean not too far behind? Is Vultr not too far behind? Are all these cloud providers about to start increasing their rates because they aren't going to be able to get hardware? They're not going to be able to get replacement parts. So the value of idle CPUs is much higher now. So it's this whole big thing. And I hate to try to simplify the conversation because I feel like it warrants all of these different talks, or all of these different thoughts and conversations should happen around it. Whether you're talking about economic impact, usability, what it's going to do or is doing to the industry, the economy, what is it? What are the impacts for artists and such? They're like, I use Google Music and it is flooded with AI stuff, and there's no distinction between it. And like I said earlier, I don't care that your AI can make a catchy song. I don't care that your AI can go take a song that was a blues song and make it sound like a pop tune song. I don't care about that. That's not what I want to listen to. I want to listen to something a human made. Call me old fashioned, right? And I feel like there is room for these people to be in the middle and not on either end of this very, very inflammatory argument to be had.
So I think one of the things as well that we're seeing a lot of at the moment is AI, yes, at its core is word generation, but we're starting to see more and more tools being attached to it. So like more recently, research by AI is more accurate. At least the links work because it's used web search today to do it.
Mm-hmm.
What it's still doing is completely hallucinating some of the things that it's researching on. Like if you tell it to research 1950s dress, it's going to throw up things from the 70s and convince you that it's from the 50s.
Right. And it's running out of training data too, right? It has to be. So all of the future training things are going to be AI generated. So you're going to put crap in, you're going to get crap out, right?
Yeah.
So if AI, if all of these companies have already exhausted all of the wealth of human knowledge and human creation, we're just going to train on AI slop. That doesn't sound good, right? So yeah, I think the quality there is going to suffer. It would have to.
And I think this is where there's going to be a shift in the way that it's modeled, because at the moment it is literally a very, very, very advanced predictor.
Right.
But it can't remain prediction, because prediction is going to give you things that don't exist, because it's going to predict what is most helpful in that sentence.
Yeah. Oh, my favorite thing that confuses AI, the LLMs that I've seen recently, is the car wash question. Is you go to your AI and you say, all right, there's a car wash that's a mile down the road that I could go to wash my car. Should I walk or drive? And there's somebody actually did a report. I've got to dig up the link. Somebody tested this against 53 AIs, and only 8 of them got it right. Only 8. And if you're not catching the drift here, you're going to wash your car. The AI is telling you that you should walk because it'll be faster than driving. But you're not going to have your car when you get to the car wash. So how are you going to wash your car, right? That's the gimmick. That's the thing. And it's so funny because, and it's so funny to laugh at that too, at the sheer comedic value of whatever that is. It's like, oh, of course this is just this dumb thing. Oh, I better give it all my private details, all my health information, all my personal information, my dating life, and I should give it all. I should give it all of these companies, right? Hold on, let's pump the brakes here a little bit.
Yeah, there was someone on one of the news channels over here, and I think I've got a feeling they were working at OpenAI. I think that's the one they worked at, and they left because of their concern with relationships that people were having with AI. And they left because they want to be able to get away from any AI company to then try and raise more awareness, how people are having whole relationships with AI conversations. And I've noticed with certain AIs now, they start asking you questions after they've answered the question you ask them. And it's just forcing you to keep going further and further down that rabbit hole. You run out of credits. Oh, now I need to know the answer to that question.
Right.
What is that? And then, so there's certainly some ethical issues in that respect in the way that they've come up with ideas to try and force people to continue using. And that's a bit concerning.
Yeah, that's problematic. Like social media, where it's this endless thing. There's no end to it, right? This just designed with all kinds of shady practices to keep you watching, keep you glued to your phone, just like the TV does with all the streaming services. It's not even anything new, right? It's the same age old thing, just in modern terms. And then now you have LLMs that are going to start injecting ads, which is going to be real fun for the English teachers who are going to be reading a research report and then get an ad for something completely out of the blue in the middle of the report, right? just envision that happening. Or I'm going to have a PowerPoint slide that I'm going to create. It's going to all of a sudden have a giant ad for a weight loss drug or something in it. You know, it's that kind of, and I don't use any of the LLMs that are going to do that or have started doing that. So I don't know what that actually looks like, but I really don't want marketing preferences in my AI either. I don't care. Like I value Anthropic for not shoving ads down me, right? Down my throat. And I'm not trying to say any one of these companies is better than the other, because I think they're all doing questionable things, right? You have to admit when you're having the AI discussion, you have to admit that the original training data that all of these LLMs started with was almost 100% copyright violations, at least in the US and probably all over the world. It's copyright violations and copyright license violations. Even some software, the stuff that it builds is like, can you license this? Is this within the same license, right? If there was a PR to PHP, one of the PHP repos, where somebody said, I used AI for this, and somebody was like, I don't think we can accept this code because it would violate the open source license. But at the same time, if that person had never said anything and it got into the code, it would have still violated the license, but nobody would know. So how do you differentiate that? And I asked that question, and the person who had commented on it that we couldn't take that PR change was like, yeah, exactly. That's the conversation, right? That's the point. And it's being able to have those conversations is what is really going to try to, I think, drive the inflammatory nature of the conversation with some of the people who were very staunchly against it or very staunchly for it, right? I think there's middle ground to be had.
And I think that's where we do need to reevaluate, because at the moment we've got these multi-billion-pound companies that have built up out of the idea of keeping us addicted to talking to this thing. And it's getting to the point where we've all done it by accident occasionally, he said, when we're talking about the AI. But there are people who are actually personifying AI to the point that they are believing it is a person.
Yeah, and that is incredibly dangerous.
Yes. I mean, there's been stories, and shall we say that they don't end well?
Yeah, the stories about people using it for doctors and medical professionals or therapy. It's like, whoa, no, don't do that.
Yeah. And then the stories of younger teenagers using it for advice on how to deal with things. And of the advice that comes out.
Yeah, because I mean, look, what's your training data on how to deal with teenage issues? It's probably 4chan, and that's probably not the advice you need as a teenager.
But this is actually the core of the problem. That the data it has is the worst of all possible data.
Right.
Because it's us.
Because it's human made. We did this to ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, this is literally the story of every AI is going to destroy the world. It decides that we're the problem.
Right.
And that kind of is the point. That eventually, the more data we give it about us, the more it's going to decide, if I stop using this data and these things.
Yeah.
And we joke about Skynet, and I don't think we'll ever get there, or at least not whilst I'm still alive, because I won't be if it gets there. But we are heading towards a point where AI is going to start making decisions that are going to have daily impacts on people's lives, and not just on a one-off basis. You know, on the grand scale of things, does it matter if somebody clicks on a website and the button doesn't do what we want? Not really. Does it matter if AI has just designed an airplane and that airplane goes wrong in midair? Well, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the old OG IBM training manual from '79, where it says a computer can never be held accountable. Therefore, a computer must never make a management decision. What are we doing with Claude and these tools? We are making management decisions left and right. And in some cases, people are making life management decisions with these tools, and that's terrifying to me. I will stick to my very inconsequential shell scripts.
Yep. And this is again this has been going on for decades. I can't even think if it was 70s or even possibly 60s, where we had the rather famous sci-fi film. I'm sorry, Dave, I can't let you do that.
Right.
And we've had this concept as people for how long? 50 years or more? And yet we still somehow got here.
And yeah, and it's because we skipped the ethics conversation, because that seems to just be what we do in this industry, is we just don't have the ethics conversation, or the people who do are very quickly muted and shoved down and pushed away and say, no, we don't want to do that here. But if you look at other professions like lawyers and doctors, they have ethics. The ethics is a very big deal in those cases. Why isn't ethics a big deal in the software industry? Why was Volkswagen punished with a fine when they completely did 1 = 1 to their test suite? Right? It's like there has to be some accountability to real humans who are producing this code and are making these, are going through with either building these applications or operating them. There has to be some kind of human accountability, and I think it just comes down to the companies, and the companies will just disappear if something happens, right? They just escape, scot-free or with very little real world consequence, it seems.
And I think again, this has been such a long conversation that I actually remember in 1981 was when I was born. So 1985, 86, there was talk even then about this thing called machine learning. The idea that a machine could learn from you. And even on a Spectrum with 48K of RAM, I had it learning and then predicting based on what it had learned about previous moves. I mean, it was noughts and crosses. It was completely inconsequential, but it learned from what was happening. And we've now exponentially grown to millions of times more powerful computers, and we're seeing the outgrowth of that to predicting much bigger things. Now, and you said it doesn't boil down to a gigantic if statement. You're right in the sense that that's no longer the architecture. But if you take it to the absurd level, effectively it does go, is it this? Is it this? Is it
Right.
this? Is it this?
It's more statistics than pure guessing, right? It's probabilities and so much language. I'm blanking on the word fitting, but yeah, it's just based on this guessing game of what it's been programmed to do. So of course it's only going to be able to do so much. What really blows my mind is the video creation stuff and how ridiculous the deep fake stuff, and the fact that so many of that is unchecked, and there's very little guardrails around it. Other than Disney, you can't do anything Disney with it because Disney will sue you into oblivion. And it's probably Nintendo probably has the same thing with both of those companies being widely known for being very quick to litigate anybody even coming within their IP or their copyrights or anything. So those tools are proving through that ability of not to be able, you can't go and create Disney stuff. So they're proving that there are guardrails involved. They're just not enforcing those guardrails unless they have to, through court orders, lawsuits, whatever Disney had to do to be able to prevent that from happening. So it's possible to do this, but there's no incentive for the companies to do it, right?
And you look at the image generation, the sound generation, anything like that. Image generation is horrifying what it can do with that. Just go and take a look at the rather famous right-wing social media and ask Grok to do it. And audio generation, we've got to the point where 4 seconds of somebody's voice is enough to replicate their voice. And video generation, you can do the absurd funny things that are all over YouTube, like the dogs that float up into people's arms and things like that.
See, what I'm waiting for is any moment now Eric's going to pop in and he's going to have a brand new podcast that's going to be all of our voices, but not us actually doing anything. He's just going to he's going to AI more podcasts for us, right? So yeah, we'll be replaced.
Honestly, I think that would be a fun experiment. How many people would know which one was real?
I have seen some AI podcasts, and they are very convincing, right? Especially to somebody who isn't technical.
I know that I think it must be Eric. Eric did do one. We released one episode that did a summary of the magazine for that month, and I didn't realize it was AI straight away. I'm thinking, who are these people who's got to do this? And then when I looked at it, because it must have just come on in my podcast. I was walking the dogs and it just started. And
dang it, John, you're supposed to be on our side against Eric on this. Yeah. Now we're in real trouble.
They're both ganging up on us. We haven't got anyone to go to when Eric bullies us anymore.
Yeah.
John's
I mean,
just
I
going,
go
"Suck
to
it up."
Joe. I just go to Joe, and he says,
No.
"Yeah."
Yeah, get over it.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think I actually remember now. I was at the gym. I can picture it now. I was at the gym, and the podcast started. And I thought, oh, who are these two people? And then once I stopped whatever the exercise I was doing, I was in a break. I looked at it and went, oh, this was the AI generated one. I didn't get it straight away. I didn't clock it straight away. It was that good. I mean, I didn't recognize the voices, but
and it does take some listening to tell the little tiny telltales that are there. And it needs to be somebody that really knows you, that knows the inflections that we use and things like that. But it sounds like you that's passable enough that you stick it on a telephone. Well, there's the scary thing. My voice is my password.
Right. Such a good movie.
Is the other side enough to know that that's not actually you?
That's a big thing with scams, with phone scams these days, is people getting calls from the IRS saying, you owe us money, give us your credit card information. And the IRS comes back and says, we don't call you. That is not a thing we do. We'll send you a mail, or we'll send somebody we'll send you a human to talk to you, but not on the phone. And it's just like, how many of those scams are out there? It's just wild that it just is allowed to go so rampantly unchecked.
Yeah. I mean, we could sit here for a long time talking about this subject. This subject's not going away. There's so much to talk about and debate. Although I think a lot of people that we know are all on the same sort of page. We feel the same sort of thing. How to use AI. Don't commit AI code without knowing what it does. Is my little thing to say to people. If you don't know what it does, do not put it out there. Understand. You've got to understand the code. Oh, we seem to have lost Joe for a second.
Lost Joe.
We keep losing people.
There we go.
There we go.
We'll have Joe back.
The whole tab just refreshed. That was weird.
So
it's the AI Joe.
Yeah, they're coming to get us. They're coming to get us. They're attacking. Oh, hey, Awoods is in the chat.
Yes,
not seen you around for a while, Awoods.
He has a great idea. I think Eric and John should use AI to create small audio clips and put them in a soundboard. Things like "Eric is right" and "Yeah, I agree," or any other amusing statements. I mean, do we actually have anybody who's ever said Eric is right?
Only on payday.
Fair, yeah.
Well, even that's John. That's probably John.
That's a good point.
Oh dear, we're going to be in so much trouble tomorrow. Good job. Yeah. I'm off. I'm not in tomorrow. I'll let you two take the rap for this.
That's all right. He needs us. Claude hasn't done it all yet.
He's out of tokens. He needs us. His tokens don't reset until next week.
Right. Well, on that lovely note, and the lovely bot on the that's Twitch, isn't it? Yeah, the lovely bot on Twitch. I think we should call it there. We have gone slightly longer than we would normally. Thank you very much, Joe, for stepping in at the last second.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always a good conversation.
Yeah, I mean, we've been meaning to bring you on anyway at some point, because we know obviously we'll have a good conversation. There's a few other of our colleagues will get on at some other points as well, possibly. Damn. All right, we're in trouble now.
Yeah,
we've annoyed the bosses. Eric's so annoyed he's not even talking to us anymore.
Yeah,
he's gone out. He's leaving Claude to it.
he's just automated some prompts for Claude.
He's got 5 console windows going like the Matrix right now with Claude.
Have you ever run 2 Claudes side by side and had them argue over the same code? Because that's just hilarious.
A friend of mine was doing multi-agent Claude, not to segue too hard, but a friend of mine was doing multi-agent Claude before they actually officially supported it, and some of the the cyclic things, the redundancies of things that it would get stuck on was hysterical. And then it kind of got this really big upgrade, and where it was actually started to be more agent centric or agentic, I think is what they call it. Then they started to work a lot better together, and that's where it gets really creepy, where it's like, yes, I'm your QA person, or I'm your test writer, and I'm your DBA, and it's like, this is getting scarily into replacing a dev team.
Yes. Well, I have had 2 Claude windows and 2 Codex windows open, all on the same code base, all doing different things. I don't understand why this code has just changed. Welcome to pull requests.
Yes. Yeah, I would. If you didn't see the beginning, Ben Ramsey was supposed to be on with us, but he couldn't make it, so we pulled Joe in at the last second.
He had 7 whole minutes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's try again. This is the second time me trying to finish the show. We probably won't finish it again, and it will be third time lucky, hopefully. But yeah, thank you very much for stepping in, Joe, at the last minute for this evening's show. If you are listening on our audio, please do head over to YouTube. You can see the video version of this. Not that it's much to look at, apart from 3 blokes in bright orange tops.
And if they're listening, they can't see that, Mike.
No, that's what I've just said. Go to YouTube and watch the video. He doesn't listen to me, does he? He just doesn't listen.
But they don't know where to go. YouTube.com/PHPArch.
Ah, it's at PHPArch /@PHP. This is what I have to put up with. Anyway, head over to YouTube, like and subscribe. Pop into our Discord as well. We've got some great people in there all week long. You don't just have to be in there whilst we've got a show running live. You can be part of the discussions, and all sorts of interesting things go on in there. We've got package maintainers, internal contributors. That's the word I'm looking for. Internal contributors, and all round great developers in there. So do come and join us in Discord. That is discord.phparch.com. Happy now? Don't forget about our magazine, the PHP Architect magazine, that comes out every month, and you can get your first 3 months of an annual digital subscription for free using the code ALIVE3. Oh, John's just saying that Chris is also right. Apparently YouTube without the @ still works as well. Anyway, let's I digress again. Don't forget about our conference, PHP Tech and JS Tech, that is going to be running alongside that this year. First time we're doing that. So that's a dedicated track just for JavaScript. So that will be quite interesting. But if you buy tickets for one of them, it doesn't mean you only have to go to the tracks for those. Then the swag store, don't forget to head over to our store.phparch.com and check out the merchandise we've got there. Some great t-shirts and caps and things. I still haven't bought that one t-shirt that I really like. I need to get one. We keep saying every time we have a show, we say we need to go and buy that one. There's a really, really cool t-shirt which I really want to get hold of. Thanks, Awoods. We have enjoyed having a chat about AI, which I think a lot of people are talking about, and I'm sure there's lots of more conversations to happen around this subject. But for now, we're going to say goodbye. Hopefully, we will get Ben Ramsey on another show soon. We're looking forward to chatting with him, and we haven't got anything lined up, so it's probably going to be in 2 weeks' time, the next show, unless you've got something lined up that I didn't know about, or someone lined up for next week. No.
I have several people that I'm awaiting dates.
Yes, we have a nice roadmap of people we want to talk about all sorts of different topics within our community. So keep your eyes open for what's coming up next. And for now, we'll see you soon. So thank you very much, and goodbye.